It's so exciting to see where we are now and knowing the history of where we've come from. The game is so available to people. It's in the palm of your hand, whilst we're presented with a very shiny, exciting, dynamic product. It's not always been that way. In some parts of the game, that struggle's still there. A lot of clubs wouldn't have existed without the volunteers and the effort and time that went in from so many of the legendary players that came before.
Kapo, in the back row or in the centres, you can see why.
We have to remember the hardships that the pioneers of the game really had to go through.
Kapo slices through.
Kapo as a child was actually Laura. I feel like rugby stole my identity when I first came across it. I did ballet at school. I just remember finding that it just wasn't me. I was always a bit clumsy. I was always very dirty. I actually found rugby by accident, and a PE teacher of mine, Miss Burton, said, "You'll really enjoy it." My first training session, I can only laugh about it now. I wore my dad's football boots, and they were slightly too big. So I didn't really understand anything about the game. Having come from a big football family, I just sort of turned up. There was a coach, Fabian, who had a chat with me on the side of the pitch. He was like, well, which club have you come from? I haven't.
Can they put this game to bed here, Richmond?
How much rugby have you played before? I haven't. Do you watch rugby? No. I think he kind of just laughed at me and was like, well, just get stuck in and enjoy it. I don't necessarily pass very often, but I've always just stuck with run until someone stops you.
Laura Kapo is on the field.
One of the things I wasn't aware about before I came across to Richmond was just the history. There were 3 teams for the women's section. The first team, second team, third team, fondly known as the Impalas. Finchley women, one of the oldest teams here in England. Then there was Wasp ladies, and then there was Richmond women. Sue Dorrington, Mary Forsyth, Alice Cooper, and Debs Griffin. 4 amazing, incredible women that are absolute pioneers of the game.
This weekend at Twickenham, the first ever women's rugby match between Wasps and Richmonds. It provided the large crowd with great entertainment. Whatever the opinions of the diehards, they couldn't help but be impressed by the effort and commitment that went into making this a thoroughly enjoyable occasion.
What happened was that women's rugby won. We were at the National Stadium and we were the first women to grace that place in history.
They sort of set the precedents really early. It's great that they pioneered that pathway.
We're all out of superlatives for Ellie Kildunne. Brilliant from Tatyana Heard.
This year has been very different, thanks, Ilona.
Ilona Mark, the world's most followed rugby player on social media.
We're coming out of the space of asking people to watch, and people have started asking how they can watch.
When we play week in, week out, the games are not always broadcasted, but people want to be there, people want to watch, and it's so great to see.
My only hope is that the game continues to grow and that becomes the norm week in, week out. Bristol, you guys actually were Clifton first. So Clifton became Bristol, they were in the Premiership. And then Quins were Quins Amateurs, and they were the only women's club that stood separate from a men's club. When I look at this shirt, you're literally seeing history with it. I remember wearing this for the first time and being really proud, and it became my family. The 2015-16 season was a massive season, but it was filled with highs and lows. I was diagnosed with an osteosarcoma, which is soft tissue cancer that was centralised and located in my pelvis. I had chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery 4 times. I remember being really pissed off, angry, upset. Just the injustice. I was 30. Why is this happening to me?
You okay? Did it come back?
It didn't really go away. I kind of sat in remission for like 6 months and then it came back, but probably because I was playing too much sport. So the times that I was, having chemo and just being hooked up, but I'm going off to rugby afterwards. And more often than not, I'd have a laptop or I'd have a notepad with me, sorting out logistics for a game at the weekend. And that was contacting the opposition and finding out what their catering requirements are, how many allergies. All of it was done for the benefit of the team. I don't believe I'd be here if it hadn't have been for so many of those players that kept me going.
Richmond are the Women's Premiership champions.
On the back of our winning season, we had around 17 of our players that left our first team and moved across to Aylesford, who had just secured their place in the Premiership that season. But it was Aylesford in partnership with Harlequins. And I remember having conversations with the hierarchy at Richmond where they really questioned, should we even enter a team into the Premiership? We should withdraw. And I remember saying, absolutely not. We will be entering the Premiership and we will make a team. And that was a really hard fight. We had been the powerhouse, we'd been the enviable team of everyone in the Premiership. Everyone wanted to beat Richmond and everyone wanted to smash Richmond, and all of a sudden everyone was. I totally understand why players left and understanding how the RFU wanted the game to develop. The messaging going out from the partnership between Aylesford Bulls and Harlequins being that it was going into this new sort of dynamic and professional setup where the women were being put first. Traditionally, the league setup was that of promotion relegation. So if you won your league, you got promoted. If you lost your league, you got relegated. The new Tyrrell setup, there were 10 teams selected and they were ring-fenced. There was no promotion relegation. Then that became the Allianz Premier 15s. Now we have the PWR, the Premiership Women's Rugby League. I remember getting a phone call to say that we hadn't secured our renewal and that we were being essentially relegated. I just remember feeling absolutely gutted, and I felt that we had let the club down and that we had let all of those people before us down. We weren't going to be in the competition that we'd otherwise helped to build. Also, Wasps women and Worcester women are 2 prime examples of where we've lost massive names from the Women's Premiership, but it's not from fault of their own. It's because the master club haven't got a model that works. I've been to games where we've had tackle pads strapped to the top of the car, generally because the car was then so full of players, I couldn't put it anywhere else. So it was like, I've got some bungee cords. Like, we'll just drove down the M25 with 5 tackle shields across the roof of the car. I can't imagine any of you guys doing that now.
We're so privileged at our level now that we have people that bring our kit, and we have managers, we have everybody else that's behind the scenes that's putting in the work so that we can do what we need to do, and that's just be on the pitch and perform.
It always makes me anxious at how empty my match day bag actually is. It's literally my 2 pairs of boots, my sports bra.
You don't even need to take a gum shield now.
No,
Really?
They keep them in
So it's like for concussions, so they can read if you've been hit that you need HIA.
For the level of athletes that we are and how professional we are is definitely where the game deserves to be.
Also important to mention that globally, there's a lot of teams that are probably a few years behind where we are, but we want to push those teams. We don't want to create this massive gap.
The disparity between the fact that you guys are professional athletes and earn your full-time income from being rugby players, whereas I'm semi-professional. I think it astonishes people when they find out I have to work as a doctor alongside playing rugby, otherwise I won't make enough to make ends meet.
It's so important to tell the stories, like past, but also current. Like, Ren, if you went on a podcast and said, I actually don't get paid, I'm actually doing it for volunteer, people would be like, what?
I think it's just like the passion for rugby, and I also don't know what I'd do like without it, but I'd love for rugby to be my work and be in a position that Ellie's in to be a full-time athlete as well.
Kildunne with the swerve, the fix. Oh my goodness me!
Kapo against Sim. Good battle that is in the midfield.
Everything that you guys have put in to grow the game. I hope that you know how influential your fight was to getting the game to where it is today.
There's still work to be done to make sure that we're creating an inclusive environment to continue growing the game. My son was born in the June of 2023, and I played my first game back 9 weeks postpartum. In going into the changing rooms and going into the showers, they were cold. I walked into the men's changing rooms, their showers were hot. I had a basic need, I needed to have a shower, that's where the hot water was. I went and showered. There was one occasion I was breastfeeding my son after a game until a man who said, you know, would you not be more comfortable in a changing room doing that? I remember thinking, like, how dare he? And if this is what we're going to put our mothers through, this isn't good enough. I don't feel that I had that support there to enable me to still exist as the rugby player that I had been before.
Close game today.
What a great occasion, and just a testament of having full stands, absolute buzzing atmosphere. Women's rugby is absolutely winning and totally crushing it.
If I have it my way, I will continue playing until my knees give out. Despite the lows along the journey, I'm still really proud of my involvement with Richmond and how I've affected the women's game.